Hello everyone and welcome. Today we are going to discuss about Indian prodigy Gukesh's second consecutive tournament victory in Europe. So last week Gukesh won a tournament in Denmark and he followed it up with another tournament victory at the recently concluded Cannes Open in France. So in today's game we'll be looking at the last round game where he's facing French international master Harutyun Barseghyan, and both of them were playing on the same points of 6.5 on 8. And there was also another player, Chinese Grandmaster Zheng Zhongsheng, who was playing on board 2 against another Hungarian GM. But we'll be focused on Gukesh's game. So the game started with the English opening. Gukesh is playing white, so he starts with c4. c4, knight f6, knight c3, e5, g3, bishop b4 is slightly a side variation. And after e4, we go into some kind of weird e4, e5 setups where white has also played e4, c4, and g3, which is not so common. Barseghyan took on c3, but he didn't have any intentions to take on e4, because if he takes on e4 here, white has queen to g4 and the pawn on g7 falls. So after d6, Gukesh could have defended the pawn with bishop g2, but he chose the weird looking f3. So now, as you can see, the knight on g1 can't also go to f3, so it might be coming into the game from h3 to f2. So after f3, this was quite an unusual game, because after both the players are in like relatively unknown territory and they are just playing on their own. There is no theory involved in this game. So f3, a5, knight h3, knight a6, both the knights come out. Gukesh is planning to castle on the king's side, whereas black is still unclear, but even black would like to keep his king on g8. So bishop to e6, queen to c2, pawn to a4. White is currently blocked on the queen side and he can't make the trademark b4 push to kick the knight away because of a b3, and the rook on a1 will hang after if white captures a into b3. So white has the two bishops and he tries to open up the position with f4, and he's just trying to create more diagonals or gain more space on the king side. And white is hoping for black to take on f4 so that he can get some open diagonals and some open files. Barseghyan continues with b6. Now his idea is a very typical idea in such structures, where you can get the queen on the a6 square so that it can hit the c4 pawn or try for b5 breaks later on in the game. As you can see, he did that. So f5, bishop goes back, bishop to g2. Now Gukesh is threatening to castle and expand on the king side with g4, and the players go for the plan. Black is threatening queen c4. Gukesh tries to cover it up with a very smart defense. So if now black captures on c4, how will Gukesh win? You can see that he has a very subtle trap with bishop f1, and the queen is trapped because there's no space for the queen to go back. So after bishop's rook fe1, bishop c6, bishop to g5. Remember, black still can't take on c4 because of the same threat, bishop f1. Knight to d7. Now black wants to play f6 himself and kick the bishop back. Queen e2, defending the c4 pawn. Black goes for the break on the queen side right away. His king is still stuck in the center, but it's okay. It's not under any kind of attack right now. Takes. Shuts the queen again with c4. Now again he's played rook b1. He still wants to get in the typical English idea with b4. Black stops that, and Gukesh is trying to now remaneuver his pieces again. Maybe he wants his bishop to be on the c3 square and controlling more diagonals and more squares for that matter. Queen a6, pawn to g4. White is trying to expand on the king side, maybe g5, like, and also g6 break in the future probably. 8-6 stops that. White goes for h4, rook b6, bishop f3. Now white is making some space for his king to come to g2. Probably maybe the rook can go to h1. Who knows? Queen b7. Now black is threatening to take this pawn, and Gukesh comes up with a creative defensive idea. He goes with bishop a5, rook a6, bishop drops back to c3, pawn to g6. Now this position is kind of heating up, and you can imagine a tournament situation where both the players are playing on 6.5 out of 8, and the winner of this game practically wins the tournament and the 1800 euros reserved for first place. So this was kind of a do or die game for both the players. And meanwhile in the game on board 2, the Chinese GM had a rook knight versus rook against his opponent, and he failed to convert that, as the Hungarian opponent held a draw, and so both the players knew whoever wins this game takes home the first prize. So now you can see the wild complications start in the game. After queen e3, rook b6, king h2, white is still trying to push on the king side. Black is trying to hold his own on both the sides, both the wings. He's also threatening the b2 pawn. He wants also maybe trying to open a file against the white's king, but he's lacking a clear plan for now. So he decides to safeguard his king, or he's planning to just maybe run the king to safety. So knight h1, interesting retreat by Gukesh. Maybe the knight's planning to go to g3 now. Queen a6, attacking the c4 pawn, and now you can see the craziness is about to start. Of knight g3, kings g8, rook f1. So white has an x-ray attack on this pawn, so black just defends it like a prophylactic move. Gukesh is trying to get his other rook in the game, and now black has had enough. He goes for it, and why shouldn't he? Wins a pawn for free. So he captures queen takes c4, and he's a pawn up now. Rook d1, knight f6, and now white tries to open some files with first attacking the queen, and then he's going to capture on g6, but bam. So white cannot capture the queen on g4 because it runs into knight g4 check, which is a fork, which is a check, and white loses his queen. So after knight e4, this might have been a bolt from the blue, and you can see that this is like around move number 34, so which is just about 5 or 6 moves before the time control, and the next 6 moves are going to change the entire course of the game. So knight e4, fg6, fg6, and it was very difficult for both the players, who probably had like seconds left on the clock, to see the whole continuation. But there was a crazy line here for white to almost like defend the position, otherwise white is close to losing here. So he had to play rook f6, knight f6, queen into b6, because now he's threatening to win a full queen here. So white has to take back, black has to take back, sorry. Queen e2, knight e2 check, c into b6, rook d6, knight g4 check, king to g3, king c7, rook g6, and h5. And the computer still likes black because he has like the extra pawn, but I think with opposite colored bishops there should probably be a draw, but again it's only black that who can win. Maybe Gukesh saw this, maybe not, I don't know, but he went for the more practical option here, which is to kind of keep the major pieces on the board, keep the queens on the board, so that a swindle is highly possible in such time scrambles. So he took on e4 once, queen e4. Now he saves his queen. He's still threatening rook f6. He still wants to go g5. All the mates are controlled, and he's just trying to keep the position active. So black goes knight d5 and bishop a5. Here black had his chance. He could have won the game with rook b2, bishop a6 check, bishop b7. If white captures on b7, black recaptures on b7 with the rook. So white has to capture the rook, and bishop a6. So now, even though I think white is an exchange up, but black's position is so nice, the pieces are so active. The rook will come to f7, the bishop will come to b7, and you have black has this long battery, and black should be better if not winning. But black makes an inaccuracy with knight e3, and this turns the table completely. And mind you, this is like move 38, so just 2 moves are left for the time control. And Gukesh plays the smart move rook e1. Now there are like so many x-ray attacks against the pin, and also the pawn is defended in this way. And black played rook into b2, but 1 move too late, and now the position is simply winning for Gukesh, who just converts in simple fashion with bishop a6 check, king d8, rook into b2. Knight g4 is just a check because the queen defends the rook on e1, and king h3. White has just consolidated, and black is still, maybe black has a few checks, but it's nothing serious. And Gukesh just mops up everything on the queen side. Black is now threatening like a dangerous discovered check, but Gukesh just simply solves all the problem by pinning the bishop, and he's like ready to even give up the exchange because he's now a rook up. So king e8, the bishop drop backs, and now white just finishes with rook b8, and the bishop gives a check, and it's almost like white is clearly winning, because now he can also, I think, take on g4, and that's game over. But after bishop f6 check, black resigned, giving Gukesh his second consecutive victory at the Cannes Open in France, which interestingly, Cannes Chess Club is also a sponsor for Gukesh, as he wears their blazer to all the tournaments across the world. But a very nice tournament win, and a win for Gukesh, 2 consecutive wins. And he started this tournament with around 25-40, but in the next list, that is in March, he will be rated around 2565 on the FIDE list, and that's his career high. So that's a very impressive start to the year for Gukesh. So we'll be back with more games and more game of the day or game of the events videos later, and stay tuned. Bye.